that we will demand. We will demand that all illegal foreigners must be mass deported. We will if you want to be, now power is a strange thing. People might now say Mackenzie is a xenophobe. They will listen to us. Foreigners must go home. Illegal foreigners must go home. And foreigners that are here must come with a special skill. You cannot come here from Zimbabwe and be a teacher here while we have teachers sitting in El Rado Park, while there's teachers sitting in Soweto and Alexandra. They have taken over the service industry. I live in the Western Cape. I go to Cape Town. You go to Cape Town. There's not one restaurant where you can find African and colored or Indian people serving you. They've taken over the whole industry. They must go home. The sooner they go home, the better. There's no one Africa for all here. There's borders here. They must go home.
To the apartheid, Satani. The devil sent other devils here to this country to come and sell drugs to our children, to come and sell body parts of our people, to come and take the jobs of South Africans. Hulle gaan huis toe gaan. Abahambe. We don't want illegal foreigners here. Where the PA, after we've been sworn in, I'm going straight to Rahima Musa Hospital, where we're going to switch off the oxygen of illegal foreigners.
In the landscape of South African politics and society, few figures loom as large and contentious as Gayton Mackenzie. A man of multifaceted background, Mackenzie's journey from a life of being a criminal to becoming a prominent businessman and political leader with the Patriotic Alliance is nothing short of remarkable. However, it is his divisive and often incendiary rhetoric regarding immigration and foreigners in South Africa that has come to define much of his public image. Mackenzie's story begins in the tumultuous era of apartheid-era South Africa. Born in 1970, he came of age during a time of profound social upheaval and racial oppression. Like many young men growing up in the townships, Mackenzie faced numerous challenges and temptations. He ultimately succumbed to the lure of crime, landing himself in prison for armed robbery in the early 1990s. However, it was during his time behind bars that Mackenzie began to undergo a transformation. He educated himself, honed his entrepreneurial skills, and emerged from prison with a newfound determination to turn his life around. In the years that followed, Mackenzie embarked on a remarkable journey of self-reinvention, establishing successful businesses and carving out a niche for himself in the world of South African politics. In 2013, Mackenzie founded the Patriotic Alliance, a political party that sought to challenge the dominance of the ruling African National Congress and address the pressing issues facing South Africa, including crime, corruption, and unemployment. Attracting attention with his charismatic persona and populist rhetoric, Mackenzie quickly rose to prominence as a vocal critic of the status quo. However, it is Mackenzie's stance on immigration and foreigners in South Africa that has generated the most controversy and condemnation. Over the years, Mackenzie has made numerous inflammatory remarks and xenophobic comments, often blaming immigrants for a range of social and economic problems facing South Africa. One particularly notorious incident occurred in 2015, when Mackenzie sparked outrage with his comments regarding foreign nationals. In a speech delivered at a rally, he referred to immigrants as cockroaches and called for their expulsion from South Africa. His remarks were widely condemned as xenophobic and drew sharp criticism from civil society groups, human rights activists, and political opponents. Despite facing backlash for his divisive rhetoric, Mackenzie has remained defiant, refusing to back down from his controversial stance on immigration. For many observers, his legacy is now indelibly linked to his xenophobic rants against foreigners in South Africa. Mackenzie's public statements and actions on immigration have left a lasting impact on South African society, exacerbating xenophobia and prejudice. In the early stages of his political career, Mackenzie made clear his stance on immigration through the founding of the political party. The party's slogan, "Put South Africans First," encapsulated Mackenzie's initial stance on prioritizing the interests of South African citizens over foreigners. This early pronouncement set the tone for Mackenzie's future rhetoric on immigration. However, Mackenzie's rhetoric escalated over time, with instances of increasingly inflammatory public statements and controversial actions. One notable example occurred when Mackenzie openly blamed illegal foreigners for South Africa's socio-economic problems, portraying immigrants as scapegoats for unemployment and crime. This rhetoric resonated with some segments of the population, tapping into existing sentiments of economic anxiety and social unrest. Moreover, Mackenzie and members of the PA engaged in controversial actions that further fueled tensions surrounding immigration. In 2022, PA members conducted raids on shops owned by foreigners, alleging that these businesses were operating unlawfully and undercutting local entrepreneurs. These actions not only targeted foreign nationals but also contributed to a hostile environment for immigrants, fostering fear and distrust within immigrant communities. The impact of Mackenzie's rhetoric on South African society has been profound, leading to increased xenophobia and prejudice against foreigners. His divisive language has fueled mistrust and resentment towards immigrant communities, perpetuating harmful stereotypes and discriminatory attitudes. As a result, tensions between South Africans and foreign nationals have reached alarming levels, with incidents of violence and discrimination becoming all too common. Furthermore, Mackenzie's rhetoric has heightened the potential for violence against foreign nationals, creating a climate of fear and insecurity within immigrant communities. Instances of xenophobic attacks, ranging from verbal harassment to physical assault, have been documented across South Africa, highlighting the real-world consequences of inflammatory rhetoric on immigration. However, painting Mackenzie's legacy solely through the lens of his xenophobic rants presents an incomplete picture of the man and his contributions. Beyond his divisive rhetoric, there are other facets of Mackenzie's career that deserve recognition. One such aspect is his philanthropic efforts. Despite his polarizing views on immigration, Mackenzie has been actively involved in charitable work, demonstrating a commitment to improving the lives of others. He has provided financial support to schools and communities, investing in education and infrastructure development in underprivileged areas. Specific initiatives include the establishment of scholarship programs and the funding of community projects aimed at uplifting disadvantaged youth. Additionally, Mackenzie has advocated for the rights and empowerment of marginalized groups within South Africa. As a former convict himself, he has been vocal about the need to address the challenges faced by ex-convicts re-entering society. Through various initiatives and organizations, Mackenzie has worked to provide support and resources to help former inmates reintegrate into their communities and lead productive lives. In conclusion, it is imperative to reiterate the harmful nature of xenophobia, particularly when perpetuated by public figures like Gayton Mackenzie. While his legacy includes commendable efforts in various spheres, including entrepreneurship and advocacy for economic empowerment, his xenophobic statements and actions are unacceptable. Moving forward, it is imperative to propose solutions to address genuine concerns about immigration, while promoting social cohesion and inclusivity. One potential solution is fostering dialogue and engagement between different communities to foster mutual understanding and respect. Additionally, addressing economic inequalities and promoting inclusive economic growth can help alleviate social tensions and reduce the scapegoating of immigrants. By confronting xenophobia head-on and promoting dialogue, understanding, and empathy, we can work towards a South Africa where diversity is celebrated and all individuals are treated with dignity and respect. Thanks for watching. Please comment, like, share and subscribe.